Imagine giving everything you have to someone. Your time, your energy, your attention, your resources. Every version of yourself you could offer, offered completely, without holding anything back. And then watching her leave anyway. Not because you were cruel. Not because you were absent. Not because you failed in any of the ways men are usually told they fail. But because something you cannot quite name was missing. Something that all the giving in the world could not manufacture. Something that existed in the men who gave less and somehow received more. If you have lived through this, my friend, you already know the specific confusion it produces. The confusion of a man who followed every rule he was ever given and still ended up on the wrong side of the outcome. Tonight, we are going to name what was actually missing. Not because the truth is comfortable, but because confusion is more expensive than discomfort. And the truth, once you have it, changes everything about how you move through every relationship you will ever have from this moment forward. The villain that has been robbing you. Before we get to the one thing women are actually loyal to, we need to name the thing that has been stealing from you. I call it the scorecard. The scorecard is the belief that loyalty is earned through accumulation. That if you give enough, do enough, sacrifice enough, show up consistently enough, the loyalty will follow as a natural consequence of the math. That relationships operate like accounts. You deposit effort, you withdraw commitment. You deposit sacrifice, you withdraw devotion. This belief was handed to you by a culture that teaches men that love is something you earn through performance. By advice that told you to be nicer, give more, work harder, prove yourself more consistently. By the well-meaning voices that said if you just do everything right, she will stay. They were wrong. And here is exactly what the scorecard has cost you. It cost you years of giving to people who appreciated the giving but were never actually attached to the giver. It cost you the energy you poured into proving your worth to someone who had already made a decision about your worth that no amount of effort was going to change. It cost you the version of yourself that existed before you started measuring your value in what you could provide rather than who you actually are. Most painfully, the scorecard cost you the moment you realized that everything you gave was not enough. Not because you gave wrong, but because you were playing a game where giving was never the currency that mattered. The scorecard is not love. It is fear dressed in the language of devotion. And the woman across from you could feel the fear underneath every gesture, even when the gesture itself was genuine. The scorecard is finished. Here is what actually works. The lie most men were taught. Most men received the same instruction about relationships early in life. Be consistent. Be supportive. Show up. Do more. Give more. Prove your value through your actions. And in the beginning, it appears to work. She appreciates the gestures. She enjoys the attention. She benefits from the effort. Things feel good. But here is the dangerous misconception buried inside all of it. Appreciation is not loyalty. Comfort is not desire. A woman can appreciate everything you do for her and still feel something fundamental slipping away. Not because she is ungrateful. Not because she is calculating or cruel. But because appreciation and loyalty are not the same emotional experience. They live in completely different places. They are produced by completely different things. Appreciation is what she feels when you do something for her. Loyalty is what she feels when she is with you. That distinction is everything. And most men spend their entire relationship lives confusing one for the other, doing more and more to generate appreciation while the loyalty they are actually chasing recedes further with every additional effort. The first truth of female psychology that most men never learn is this. Women attach to emotional experiences, not effort. It is not about how much you do. It is about how she feels when she is with you. And those two things are not the same. They are not even related in the way men assume they are. You could give her everything. You could be attentive, consistent, generous, present, reliable. And if the emotional experience fades, so does her attachment. Not because she chose to let it fade. Because attachment does not run on effort. It runs on feeling. What women are actually loyal to. Here is the truth that reorganizes everything. Women are not loyal to what you do for them. Women are loyal to how you make them feel about themselves. Read that again. Not how you make them feel about you. how you make them feel about themselves. This is the distinction that most men never encounter, and its absence explains every relationship that should have worked and did not. When a woman is with a man who has genuine confidence, clear direction, and an unshakable sense of his own value, something happens to her that effort cannot produce. She feels more interesting, more significant, more alive, more like the best version of herself. She feels the elevation of being chosen by a man who could choose differently and is choosing her with full awareness of that. That feeling is what creates loyalty, not gratitude for what you gave. The experience of who she becomes when she is near you. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts. In relationships, the quality of her loyalty is determined by the quality of the emotional experience your presence creates. Not your actions, your presence. This is why some men who give very little hold a woman's loyalty completely, and why other men who give everything find themselves replaced. It was never about the giving. It was always about what she felt about herself when she was with them. The identity that creates loyalty. Here is the concept that changes everything once you truly understand it. Women are not loyal to your effort. They are not loyal to your personality. They are not loyal to your track record of consistency or sacrifice. They are loyal to your identity. Your identity is not what you do. It is who you are underneath everything you do. It is the answer to the question that exists beneath every interaction she has ever had with you. Who is this man when nothing is at stake? Who is this man when he is not performing for anyone? Who is this man when the approval he has been seeking is not coming? A man with a strong identity does not collapse when she pulls away slightly. He does not panic when she becomes distant. He does not apologize for things that do not require an apology or seek reassurance that he is enough. He already knows he is enough. Not arrogantly, not performatively. He simply knows it the way a man knows his own name. And that knowing, felt in the body before it is understood in the mind, is the most powerfully attractive thing a man can carry. Epictetus said that freedom is not achieved by satisfying desire, but by eliminating it. The man who has eliminated his need for her validation has achieved something that no amount of effort or giving could ever produce. He has become someone whose presence is rare. And rare things, my friend, are what people cannot stop thinking about when they are not in the room. When your identity is strong, your actions matter less. When your identity is weak, no amount of right action will compensate for it. She feels the weakness underneath the performance. She cannot always name it. She will call it something else. She will say things feel off, or she is not sure why, or she needs space. But what she's responding to is the signal underneath your behavior. The signal that says whether you believe at the deepest level that you are worth staying for. She takes her cue from your own assessment of yourself. If you believe you need to earn your place, she believes it too. If you believe you already belong, she feels that too. And those two beliefs produce completely different experiences of being in a relationship with you. The difference between obligation and loyalty. This is the distinction that most men never make. And its absence is why the scorecard feels like it should work and consistently does not. A woman can feel obligated to you. She can appreciate you, feel comfortable with you, feel a sense of debt for the things you have done. And none of that is loyalty. Obligation and loyalty feel similar from the outside. They both keep her present. They both produce a form of staying. But they produce completely different internal experiences. And they produce completely different outcomes when pressure arrives. Obligation is a mental tally. It is a woman staying because the math says she should, because you have done enough that leaving feels wrong, because the investment you made created a debt she has not yet found a way to discharge. Obligation is fragile. It is based entirely on the scorecard. And when the scorecard shifts, when something tips the calculation in the other direction, obligation dissolves immediately. Loyalty is something else entirely. Loyalty is a woman staying because of who you are, not what you have given. Because the bond between you is built on respect, on emotional experience, on the way your identity affects hers. Loyalty does not have a scorecard. It does not calculate. It does not weigh what you gave against what you cost. It exists at a level where those calculations do not reach. Seneca wrote that love is not about deserving, but about giving from fullness. The man who gives from the fullness of his own identity gives something that creates loyalty. The man who gives from the emptiness of his own insecurity creates obligation at best and repulsion at worst. Because she can feel the difference, even when she cannot name it. The giving that comes from confidence feels like generosity. The giving that comes from fear feels like pressure. And pressure, however kindly delivered, is something people eventually want to be free of. What men are not loyal to. Let me be direct about this because it is where the most painful mistakes are made. Women are not loyal to overavailability. The man who is always there, always ready, always accommodating, always adjusting himself to fit her needs and preferences, creates the opposite of loyalty. He creates indifference. Because indifference is what we feel toward things that are always available. We do not value what costs us nothing. Women are not loyal to emotional dependency. The man who needs her to regulate his emotional state, who becomes anxious when she is distant, who requires constant reassurance that the relationship is secure, is communicating something that erodes loyalty every time it is communicated. He is telling her that his stability depends on her behavior. And a woman who is responsible for a man's emotional stability is a woman who is carrying a weight she did not agree to carry. Women are not loyal to people-pleasing. The man who agrees with everything she says, who never pushes back, who has no opinions she has not been permitted, who becomes whatever version of himself he thinks she wants, has eliminated the things she was supposed to be loyal to. You cannot be loyal to a reflection. You can only be loyal to a person. And a person requires the existence of a genuine self. Women are not loyal to sacrifice without boundaries. The man who gives endlessly without limits is not communicating love. He is communicating that he has no value he places on himself. And a man who places no value on himself is not someone whose valuation of her means anything. How to build the identity that creates loyalty. This is not about techniques. It is not about strategies or behaviors designed to create an impression. It is about something that can only be built from the inside, and that cannot be faked for long enough to matter. It starts with self-respect. Not the performance of self-respect, the actual thing. The quiet, daily, uncelebrated practice of holding your own boundaries, honoring your own values, and refusing to compromise your sense of yourself in exchange for someone else's approval. Self-respect is visible before it is named. It shows in how you respond when something does not sit right with you. It shows in whether you apologize for things that do not require apology. It shows in whether your position on something changes when she expresses displeasure with it or whether it holds, because it was always your actual position. A man with genuine self-respect does not chase. He does not collapse emotionally when she creates distance. He does not explain himself endlessly to someone who has decided not to understand. He does not negotiate his own value with someone who has chosen not to see it. And paradoxically, this is the man she cannot stop thinking about. Not because he is cruel or unavailable, because he is complete. He has a center that does not move. And a center that does not move is something she can actually orient around, actually rely on, actually build something with. Growth matters too. Women are not loyal to who you were. They are loyal to who you are right now and where you are going. A man who is moving forward, who is growing and evolving and pursuing something that matters to him, creates an energy that draws people in. A man who has become comfortable, who has stopped challenging himself, who has settled into stagnation, loses something that no amount of effort or giving can replace. The direction matters. Not because she needs you to be successful in any particular way. Because a man with direction has a life she can be part of, rather than a void she is expected to fill. The verdict on the scorecard. Let's go back to the scorecard one final time, because it deserves a verdict. The scorecard told you that loyalty was something you earned through accumulation. The truth is that loyalty is something you inspire through identity. And identity cannot be accumulated. It can only be built, quietly, over time, through the choices nobody sees and the standards nobody rewards. The scorecard told you that doing more would secure her. The truth is that doing more from a place of insecurity communicates more insecurity, not more value. She receives not just the gesture, but the energy behind the gesture. And the energy of fear does not create the feeling of safety. The scorecard told you that if you gave enough, she would stay. The truth is that giving from emptiness is not generosity. It is a transaction. And transactions do not create loyalty. They create obligation. And obligation, as we have discussed, is the thing that looks like loyalty right up until the moment it dissolves. The scorecard has had enough of your time, your energy, and your sense of your own worth. It does not get one more day. Not one. The final thought. Here is what women are actually loyal to, my friend. Emotional strength. The ability to remain grounded when things get difficult. The capacity to face challenges without losing yourself. The willingness to feel things fully without being controlled by them. Self-respect. The quiet, consistent practice of valuing yourself in the ways you expect others to value you. Not loudly. Not as a performance. In the small daily choices that add up to an identity. Direction. A life that is going somewhere. A man who is building something that matters to him, whether or not anyone is watching or applauding. Presence. The quality of actually being there, fully when you are there. Not distracted, not performing, not managing an impression. Present, which is, in a world of constant distraction, one of the rarest gifts a human being can offer another. These are the things that create loyalty that lasts. Not the scorecard, not the giving, not the sacrifice, not the proving who you are. Stop trying to earn her loyalty through effort and sacrifice. Start building the identity that makes loyalty a natural consequence of being near you. She is not looking for a man who gives everything. She is looking for a man who already has everything he needs. Become that man. Not for her, for yourself. And watch what follows. If this gave you clarity on something you have been confused about for a long time, subscribe. More honest conversations about female psychology, loyalty, and what actually works in relationships. Drop a comment and tell me, what is one thing you gave everything to and still lost? I read every single one. Until next time, my friend. Stop keeping score. Start building your identity. The loyalty will follow.